Good afternoon and welcome to the La Mirada Historical Archive Room. We have with us today HPAC member Gail Pierce. This is the Historical Preservation Advisory Council guru on all things historical, La Mirada. And we're going to open up the Historical Archive Room here. We're going to go through it and find some gems from the past of La Mirada. Come on in. Let's see what we have.
It's a storage room.
It's a historical gem is what it is. There we go. All right, explain some of this, Gail.
Well, what we have here are stored items that many of them have been donated from members of the past historical societies in La Mirada and or from private families who've lived in La Mirada for years and years and had items they thought we might want to display at some point in time. Some of the items have been just clothing items that were made to look at like the period of time in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Other items are perhaps very, very old. Most of our newspaper items, though, are from the time that La Mirada Lamplighter was the paper in town, and or they are flyer copies of what was passed out by the city to keep the citizens informed. John, what did you find there?
Well, let's start from the beginning and go through some of these articles that we have here. First of all, we have a box full of photographs, and some of these are quite interesting. Here, as you can see, we have a photograph from the 1950s. It's Lutweiler Road looking south from Foster to the intersection farther north. So if you look at this Lutweiler is now called La Mirada Boulevard. And if you look up here to the left, you see this little hill right there. That is what is now City Hall. This is where we're standing right now. This is what Lutweiler looked like before it became La Mirada Boulevard, before it became City Hall. Here's a good one. Obviously from the Vietnam era. On the back it says, a La Miradan joins Vietnam War years protest. So it looks like one of the La Miradans has holding up a sign there. It says, Hanoi, please release my brother. Quite interesting. We don't have much historical background on who these people are or exactly where this picture was taken, but it shows that you can see some of these have been taken in the City Hall area, and some of them do not have an explanation on the back, so we're going to have to leave it to our historical expert Gail Pierce to decipher some of this stuff to see exactly if we can find a date and a name for some of these events. Looks like this one on the back says Lamplighter Planning. Looks like they were planning, it's either the planning department or they're planning some type of committee. Somebody watching TV, it says Weekender there. This looks like, it says doctors on the back, so this is a bunch of doctors. It looks like looking at a 1960s television there. This is from the Lamplighter, and it says grown-ups. And it looks like some of the children who are now grown-ups have actually had their photo taken. It would be interesting to track them down and give them a copy of this. This is taken in May of 1965. And we have some of the events from La Mirada here. Here's one of the events, the Balloon to the Moon. That's interesting. There's no date on this one, but you can see it was some type of event right there at the City Hall, the picture there. Balloon to the Moon. We'll have to get a little more realty. And, you know, I think they're still around over there in the Gondola's Marshall Shopping Center. I think it's Edmore Realty now. I'm not sure if the names have changed, but same last name. Maybe that was perhaps his father. And we've got, looks like some type of meeting here also in City Hall. That's interesting. It's dated May of 1965. And here's looks like a city council meeting. One of the old dais there. This one says September 1964. And this is also one of the Lamplighters photographs. Here's another shot of a city council meeting. Looks like it's also in 1965. And the setup hasn't changed much, it looks like. We've got Got the same setup right here. I think we've updated the table since then, but looks like the same room. Neff Park Historical Site, built in 1893 by Andrew McNally. Restoration. This was the day of the restoration. This is an old photograph from the restoration of Neff Mansion. You can go there and you can actually have tours through Neff Park and Neff Mansion, so you can see what it looks like on the inside with a lot of historical artifacts as well. Yeah, see if we can explain this one. This is a fascinating looking one. Well, it says at the bottom, the Robert McGill family, 1912.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. McGill were already ensconced in the Neff house now because Mr. McGill had been elevated to ranch manager after the Neffs had left, and Mr. McGill and his family were hosting the school teacher, the lady in dark color right here. They were hosting the school teacher. School teachers at the time could not be married, they could not be engaged, they could not date, and they had to live with a family that had children going to the school. Mr. McNally had built a lovely 2-room schoolhouse, and that was the teacher at the schoolhouse at the time.
This one says the Jack George family, 1920.
And is that the car? That's Mr. George's wife, Anna, and her 2 daughters. The George family lived on the ranch property longer than any other family for 50 years, and that's why the old Victorian house over in Neff Park is called the George House in the honor of Jack George and his family.
It looks like they bought themselves a nice 1920 Model T there. Alrighty. We got some of these. We've got Then and Now. These are some, looks like some type of a newsletter. You want to explain some of these?
Well, we had lovely newsletters coming out of La Mirada from the time of Bob Camp, who was our original La Mirada historian. And the city themselves, everybody who was involved with the city, were just really good about keeping the citizens informed about what was happening in the city. So we had things like this come to our homes, mailed to our homes over and over. And then, of course, on each anniversary date of the city's inception, we had a recap of what the city had accomplished and had grown, how it had grown. And so you'll have many of these types of things.
La Mirada turns 40, 40th anniversary dinner dance. It's like another same copy there. We've got Jerome Resnick, the first mayor of La Mirada.
Yes, yes, a very popular man at the time. And we had many people who served in City Hall, not for just one term, but many terms, were voted in over and over. They were very popular. They seemed to do the will of the people, and so they got voted back in over and over again. They also were really active in all of the city-sponsored events, and so you knew them. You could see them on the street, probably like yourself. People will stop you on the street and say, "Oh, I wanted to tell you about something."
Yes, about the pothole.
Yeah, that's often the case. Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
I remember these. We used to go on vacations, and everybody in a touristy spot would have these maps in the cartoonized version, just to show you where all the highlights are. This is one from La Mirada. Kind of, I'm guessing this is what, does it have a date on it? Probably from the 70s or 80s?
I don't see anything in the back here.
This is La Mirada, probably from the 70s or 80s right there. Of all the things that you can do. Holiday Inn down here.
Oh yes, so this is after the at least 2 renovations of the City Hall, not City Hall, of the shopping center.
There's Love's, so it's been quite a while since
Yes,
that's been here.
Right.
That's Olive Lawn, Heidi's Frozen Yogurt. Let's see, Lamppost Pizza. That's been there for a long time, but that's now
Round Table?
No, that's the other pizza place. The little, can't remember the name of that one. Stationers, Modern Image, Tanner Chiropractic, Grisham Associates. There's where they had the real estate office. And yeah, some of this is probably, I'm guessing this is the early 80s, maybe late 70s, based on what I'm seeing here.
That sounds
Valley View Drugs.
Yeah. What about is the Is the dairy still there?
Yeah, it's where's Valley View? Let's see. Valley View Farms, yep.
Yeah.
Valley View Farms is there, so
That's a long time.
that's a long time. So definitely this thing is got to be 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sounds beautiful.
That yours? Let's go through some more of the bigger things here real quick. Oh, I know we have a whole bunch of information on the sister cities that I've seen.
Well, a lot of the sister city memorabilia is stored over at, and displayed over at the George House.
Oh, is that over there? Okay.
Because that was for a period of time where a lot of us did not get a chance to get involved with that before that was passé.
Like somebody's personal photo
And
album.
we do get a lot of that.
Yeah, medical center. So this is somebody donated their personal photo album to the Historical Society.
Yeah, might be. If it had to do with a medical center, they probably were involved with work there.
Pete Wilson, to the hospital volunteers of the Medical Center of La Mirada, 1989. Signed by Pete Wilson. Executive Department, State of California. Proclamation by George Deukmejian,
Yes.
Governor of the State of California. And who was the senator at the time here? Senator William Campbell, 31st Senatorial District. Now, we've got a lot of things to archive through here. See if we can pull out some gems and put together a online directory, perhaps, that maybe clothing for Neff House. Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. A lot of that is reproduction that was
Yeah.
created for celebration in the park. We had every year, and folks dressed in old-fashioned clothing, or their idea of old-fashioned clothing at that time. We had people who were riding the unicycles and jugglers and people on stilts, and we had many booths that with candied apples, caramel corn, honey, all had to be natural. People who sold Victorian clothing, because at the time in the 70s and 80s, Victorian dancing and clothing and the singing of Christmas carols was very popular pastime, and many groups entertained at shopping centers throughout Southern California, and even private parties and conventions.
1976 Bicentennial. Let's find out what's inside. You recognize who these people are, Gail? Might say on the back. Oh, here we go. Mayor Cheryl Moses.
Oh, yes.
Congressman Del Chuson. And Community Vice President Bonnie Knight.
Cheryl Moses was a councilman for many years. He also was an instructor over at the junior college in Cerritos Junior College. In fact, I took a philosophy class from Cheryl Moses.
All right. So we got drawers and drawers full of these photos and minutes and different historical items. Here's some it's like different old articles from the local papers. We've got the La Mirada lamplighter. Look at that. La Mirada Ford Operation I's first load of autos. Okay, what's the date on this? This is 1971, October 6th. Those were the headlines back then. Let's see what was for sale. La Mirada Shopping Center's Harvest of Values. You can still find values here in La Mirada.
Comparatively speaking.
Comparatively.
Yes.
You can go to Grant Boys and buy a sweater for $12.00.
Well,
There.
Grant's was a big department store that actually started out as a dime store in other parts of the country, but here it became something of a department store in the early shopping center.
Oh, here's a good one. 513 votes give birth to city. It's now Mirada Hills Inc.
That was the first. The reason they had to change the proposition to be Mirada Hills is you couldn't use the same name and the same data on your second and third proposal. So it had to be incorporated under Mirada Hills, and then after that, it was voted to be changed back to La Mirada.
Okay. Well, this is the paper is dated January 15th, 1959. That was the first city council voted in.
And that's why you still have a convalescent hospital here in La Mirada, on La Mirada Boulevard, that is called Mirada Hills.
And we can still thank La Mirada Lamplighter for being around to this day. They're still reporting on La Mirada. That's a good photo. I think we should.
On the back, I'm looking at some grocery items, and the price is amazing.
You get a trainload of happy values. All right. Look at that. Coffee, 69 cents. A smoked ham for 49 cents.
We have the City of La Mirada's 25th anniversary here on VHS.
We got a whole box of VHS right here.
And something I wish we would bring back, celebration in the park with respect to how La Mirada was back here when it was founded in those days. And you can see by the attire.
Here's one. I knew I saw one over here. We had a sister city delegation, and it seems like a lot of the cities go through some type of committee, and they say, what would be our sister city? And then we would go, contact that city, or they'd contact us, and then we become sister cities in different parts of the world. So we've had Ishihara, Japan for quite a long time, and we've always had a lot of Little League games. And I know, like I said, they used to come over here and they'd play at Behringer Park. The teams would come over, and then we'd send a team over there. And I've seen that there's a box of something over here of articles that they gave to us as part of the commemoration ceremony after the Little League game. So let's go take a look over here. Here is one of the gifts from Ishihara, Japan that they sent to us. This is their banner from their city. I got that upside down. Like that. There we go. That's a photo from Ishihara, Japan. This is one of their pennants that they sell, one of the souvenir items. Sister City Memorabilia, Ishihara, Japan. Here's another memorabilia. See the Japanese markings on the back. And here's like hand-fired, painted, some type of dish. Maybe a traditional dish from Ishihara, Japan. Autographed Bob Hope, and it looks like doesn't have a name. Can't read that writing. To Anna Martin. That's Anna Martin, one of our first secretary of La Mirada, and Bob Hope. So it's to Anna Martin and to the City of La Mirada. All the best, Bob Hope. I think it's our first city clerk, city secretary. Articles from Alice Palace. That's gotta be some good stuff in there. Alice was our first postmaster.
She worked for the postmaster. She was not an actual postmaster, but she did in 1954 on Stage Road by Biola. She was the lady that would pick up the bag from the train and sort out all the mail and have it delivered. What she was officially for the city was a treasurer for the City of La Mirada. And from what I know, she did that for free of charge. So she was a treasurer for the City of La Mirada for quite some time. And also, one last thing about Alice Palace. She recently was the recent publication with respect to La Mirada. It was dedicated to her as well as Millie Taylor.
Explain what your position here was, Raymond.
Well, I was on the historical committee, the HPAC committee, for 2 years, and now just recently I'm on the Commission for Community Services as well. But I also co-authored a couple of books, and one just recently, A Brief History in La Mirada, and then back in 2012, Reflections from McNally's Mill. Love the city.